Week 2 of the AVP League has you sailing into America's most beautiful port city, San Diego, host of the first ever professional beach volleyball tournament. 50 years later, the stakes have risen. Tonight, we take you to San Diego State. Match number 1 features the women. Can Kristen Nuss, the biggest little player in America, continue to slice up the opposition? Or will the Dallas Dream put her and partner Taryn Brasher to sleep? Then the men. Are the duo of Andy Benish and Miles Partain still top gun, or will the Austin Aces get missile lock and win the dogfight? We'll answer those questions as America's best take to the sand in Southern California right now on the CW. For the ancestral history of the game, San Diego continues its volleyball lineage tonight. All you have to do is start in downtown, take the 8 East, and you'll find San Diego State University. The beautiful Viejas Arena welcomes the Austin Aces and the Dallas Dream. Welcome inside, everybody, for another night of volleyball action. I'm Kevin Barnett alongside Cameron Irwin. We have Olympian Casey Patterson checking in later. Cam, week 2 of AVP League play. Take me inside of this championship chase.
This is a whole new brand of volleyball in 2025. We've got young guns left and right, but there are 4 pros on each one of our city teams, and everyone is fighting for one single mission. That's to earn the AVP League Cup. It's an 8-week regular season and a combined win-loss record with your men's pairing and women's pairing. So this is going to be an all-out war. Every single week in the league is a gauntlet.
We'll have one women's and one men's match for you on the evening. We're going to start with the women's side. Taryn and Kristen, one of the elite teams in the world. They're here for all the Austin Aces.
They are, and last season they missed the playoffs by just 1 spot to get into the playoffs. And they are one of the best teams in the world, not just because they're good at one skill, but multiple. Kristen Nuss, one of the best defenders. She's elite in terms of her quick twitch, how fast she can dig balls and turn them back into points. She's only 5'6", but she plays as tall as her partner, Taryn Brasher, who is 6'4", one of the premier blockers in the world. She's got great vision, good read on her opponents, and the height to boot. She also has been emphasizing bringing more power to her game, and I love seeing that. As an attacker, she gets more and more aggressive as matches go on.
Taryn Brasher found success indoors at Creighton University, followed that up with the same elite level at LSU, alongside her now professional partner in Kristen Nuss. Undefeated as seniors, 36-0 for that university, came right out and won their very first professional event. On the other side, for the Dallas Dream, Kylie DeBerg and Haley Harward, a team that was in the finals last year. Rough start so far.
No doubt about it. They have been struggling specifically offensively as well as from the service line. This is a team that is looking to build momentum, and it always starts with energy. My advice to this duo, find one particular skill and start building that momentum. Whether it's from the service line, that's a great place to start, or maybe it's at the net, a big block from Kylie DeBerg. She's one of the bigger blockers in the mix at 6'4". It is going to be an all-out war between these 2 premier level blockers of Taryn Brasher and Kylie DeBerg. But again, another challenge for Haley Harward. She's gonna have to be able to scoop and score, but there's the block of Kylie DeBerg. Great read, good timing, and they're going to need a lot of that against this premier level team.
To your point, the last time these 2 teams met, it went 3 sets. DeBerg had 4 blocks to Brasher's 2, so that is advantage Dallas Dream. They are 1-1 in their last 2 meetings. Both have gone the distance. We're expecting a competitive and excellent volleyball match here inside Viejas Arena. We're glad you have chosen to join us here on a Saturday night. Austin and Dallas facing off. It'll be Austin with service first. Kristen Nuss right down the middle. DeBerg pass, and she'll be way off the net. An opportunity right away for the Aces. And a uppercut is rejected. Dream start for Dallas.
And that is the big block I was talking about from Kylie DeBerg. I love that she's patient as a blocker. One thing to key in on is watch a blocker as that attack starts to go up. Watch their eyes, their timing. They're picking up so many cues from an attacker to try and figure out where to set up those arms.
All right, they'll work on Nuss first, and Nuss will be dug. Then popped over. Back-to-back good plays.
How about that? A couple of the skills building momentum. Haley Harward, I love this. That's 3 steps and a full extension. She is even able to score that ball, pushing it all the way up to the net so Kylie DeBerg can find the option play, the on-two, meaning she's not setting that ball to her partner, she's finishing it off.
27 years old, 5'9" the defender. She will serve and come on for defense. And that high line call given by her partner. What about the communication between partners? How does it work when they're on the attack?
Well, if you're new to the game of beach volleyball, you hear the high line call, and that means that the setter, the second contact, is telling the attacker where to put the ball. High line means go back down the same line, the court, the side of the court you're on, and over the top of the block, hence the high.
Line was the call, it was ignored. Another battle at the net between the two blockers. It'll be Harward on the left. Line the call, she goes angle. You have to listen to your partner. Good touch there, Harward again scrambling. Remember, if it touches the block, you only get 2 more contacts. That ball will be dug out of reach, and it's point Austin. So if you've watched indoor volleyball, the ball can touch the block, and then there can be 3 more contacts here on the beach. 1 touch from the block, you're going to only have 2 left.
I love this, though. We're talking about communication from partner to partner, and immediately in the next rally, you hear the communication take place. A call, but an attacker going the opposite direction. Love the effort there from Kylie DeBerg, even though they didn't walk away with the point.
Brasher skips it through the net. That is legal. Net contact is allowed. This time it's a deep angle shot from Haley Harward out of Phoenix, Arizona originally. Went to Long Beach State, played indoors and out, and then went on to USC. 2 years there and 2 national titles. Let's hear a little bit from Haley Harward. All right, we'll hear from Haley Harward here shortly. 3-2 right now. Her partner will go big jump serve and then have to get to the net quickly. Beautiful set. That's going to be pushed over on purpose, but run down. Tracking, Krista Nuss slices it off the cable for a winner. We're tied at 3.
Love the shot there from Kristen Nuss. She's on the opposite side of the court that she typically is, having to run that ball down. That means she's got different opportunities, different looks, and that's one of the challenges for defenders. You're having to dig a ball and show up in a different position on the court every single time in transition.
High line, that time is good. That is the call. Your side of the court, straight ahead. And DeBerg comes up with the kill. Another transfer who played indoor first, Missouri and Illinois, before heading off to, guess where? LSU.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, it's a Tiger brawl out here. 3 of the 4 players playing in that program under Russell Brock. High line, you heard it multiple times, and again executed just fine and quite easily by Taryn Brasher.
They shared roster spots as well, having played about 2, maybe 3 seasons with the Sandy Tigers.
Sandy Tigers, 2-time, now AVP Team of the Year. Brasher and Nuss. Serve straight down the line. This should be a good offensive opportunity. And the ball is just wide. That's kind of been the story. And in talking to Haley Harward, she said, yeah, it's on our side, which is good news and bad news. We've been making errors, but we control it.
But this is a different look for the Dallas Dream. Watch the distance on this set. See how it has a more linear trajectory. Typically in beach volleyball, the simplest set is going to be straight up and straight down. But as these teams continue to evolve, they start to push these sets in different locations, really expanding their offense.
Middle serve is tough. Harward will hit it right at a retreating Brasher, who put it right up the middle. This time, blocker versus hitter. Nuss with the dig. And misses. All right, let's hear from Kylie DeBerg, one of the rising stars on the AVP.
It's pretty cool, like, playing in these big stadiums, and like when fans like in here and it gets packed, like it gets super loud and it's electric on the court, being able to play with that. And obviously it's a little bit different, like not on the beach, like there's no wind, so like the ball goes exactly where you want it to go, and that like also makes it a little bit different compared to like the beach, but it's also like fun to adapt to your environment and just to be out here.
Cameron, a team that really made their presence known late in the season last year. They were last in to the league, but they were last out as they lost the championship. Middle, hard angle shot from Harward off the left side.
What I've liked from DeBerg and Harward in the early stages of this first set is that they've been a little bit more calculated from the service line. There are multiple ways to add pressure from that point. Either it's power or placement. And you can tell from the way Kylie DeBerg is back there right now. Topspin jump serve, and she's working a little bit more placement, getting that ball into the court and forcing the opponent to really have to focus on that platform and posture.
Last season, Harward hitting 33%. That was her success rate. You take the number of kills she had, you minus out the number of times she got blocked or hit the ball out of bounds, and divide it by the total attempts as that ball is cranked cross court, and you end up with a percentage. So you want a percentage about 350 or higher in general.
I know this went the direction of the Austin Aces, but this is the serve placement I'm talking about. See how it's running away from Taryn Brasher? That's one of the challenges that you have to deal with in the game of side out.
Now with these two teams, you notice there is one blocker, one defender. That is typically how teams are constructed. The blockers are DeBerg and Brasher. That's Taryn Brasher at the net once again, waiting for her partner to serve. We will see a pair later on the Austin Aces side that will split block. In other words, every time a player serves, they will play defense. The other player will block. That is a pretty uncommon situation. We happen to have one male, one female team in the AVP League deploying that strategy.
We like to twist things up a little bit. Keep it interesting.
But this is traditional blocker defender. Working to the outside, and Brasher listening to the angle call. We remain tight at 7. Another middle serve. And another cut shot is good. One side change at the midpoint of our sets. Best 2 of 3 play to 15. Teams will head off to the box, take a slight break, and then come back out on the sand. And this gives us an opportunity as the players sit down to check in with third member of our crew, Olympian Casey Patterson, who's wandering courtside.
Yeah, down here on the sand, it's very interesting. These are two teams that match up really well against each other, right? Big offensive blocker with a really good defender. So the difference in this match is going to be transition setting. When your defender gets the dig, when Haley or Kristen is going to get the dig, it's going to be the transition setting quality that for their defender to put the ball away to score real points. That's going to be, I feel like, the biggest deterrent in either success or not being able to close out these sets because they're so fast. So transition setting, look for that to be a big focus.
Can they dig to convert, to put it on the scoreboard is the question. And I have a question for you. What are you doing next Saturday? The AVP League rolls on as the best on the sand. Head to Miami. That's where we'll be. Summer's hottest sport. Just raise the stakes with AVP League play. You can watch your favorite stars battle it out live from South Beach. AVP League from Miami next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the CW. Yeah, we're going coast to coast to America's greatest cities for the fans of this tremendous sport to enjoy it intimately.
You know, it's funny, though. You just got a glimpse of Pound Town. Apparently, Pound Town travels as well from coast to coast.
Yeah, they do. They've been an ever-present group at each one of our AVP League events. As you look at Kylie DeBerg back there, 6'4" out of Hudson, Iowa. The interesting thing about this is the ancestral home is Southern California for the sport of beach volleyball, but it has gone nationwide. College beach volleyball is a huge influence.
Without a doubt, and we've talked about the journey of the Sandy Tigers, 3 of which on the court as Brasher works to the right side and finds the error. But it's impressive with the growth, especially on the women's collegiate beach volleyball side. We're seeing an influx of athleticism, youth, and just absolute dominance, regardless of where you look, with this up-and-coming new crop of AVP pros.
And as soon as you're done with your collegiate career, the best place to go is the AVP League, the elite professional level. Another cut shot. That one is in this time.
Both of these attackers working to the cross court, and I'm not surprised. Casey talked about just how offensive they are. They have a high jump, a high peak, and they like to hit the ball. So right now, because of the defensive alignments, both teams are setting up. It's forcing these attackers to hit some of these cut shots or balls into the angle up and over the top of the block.
Dream tough pass, difficult back set. Dug up by Nuss. Easy transition for her. She'll check down, look, and hit it right to the defender. Yes, no! Thought it caught the back line, but it's a tiny miss by Kylie DeBurr.
Haley Harward led the league in digs per set last season in 2024. The biggest question is she going to be able to turn these into points? And this was a great ball. It was pushed up to the net, a good look for Kylie to find a point, but unfortunately just a little bit too much power.
This time DeBurg we pushed out to the left. Nuss will again make a dig. Can she put it away? Yes, she can. Smoothly done into the angle.
We talked about the skill set of these two defenders. And Haley Harward now up to 8 total digs in just this first set. That's an astonishing number. Usually you only have 10 digs an entire match, whether that's 2 sets or 3. She's just 2 away from double digits. And Kristen Nuss is not far behind her with 6 in total in just 1 set.
We're up to 10-9. Remember to play into 15. These sets go by so quickly. You cannot get off to a slow start. Been a good battle so far, and that has been the hallmark of this matchup as that ball is sliced middle. And what do you mean by middle when that's the call?
Middle means that you're attacking the depth of the court and trying to find the seam between the blocker and the defender. It's tough. You got to carry or cover so many square feet with just 2 athletes on the floor at one given time. There's bound to be some space.
Now we talk about 15, win by 2. There is no cap to the score, so until one team leads by 2 at least 15, the set will not end. And when you get to something like 10-10, well, you're playing at 5, win by 2 at that point. 1-0 in this regard, 11-10, Brasher Nuss. Here comes Brasher, jump service, and that'll put the Dream in trouble. It's an ace.
Let's go, Taryn Brasher, bringing the heat from the service line. One of the things that makes her serve so challenging is that she's got placement, but she's got pace and a high contact point. That feels like an attack standing up at the net.
Little 5-1 run for Brasher and Nuss has DeBurg and Harward taking their only timeout of the set. So they will try and reset here in their players box and have a moment to chat. And that gives us a moment to check in with Haley Harward about this league.
We pulled that, we put aggressive on.
I've been singing since I was little, annoyed the heck out of my brother at home, but yeah, I sing at church. I tried out for American Idol, tried out for The Voice, got rejected, but that's what all great stories are made of, right? You got a little adversity, and but no, I love singing. I'm singing like all the time.
Used to performing in league play and also on the stage, as you just heard detailed.
And it is a stunning voice. I will say that first and foremost. We've heard her sing the national anthem at AVP events, and it is just astonishing that she has as much skill off the court as she does on the court.
In the league in 2024, Mark Sherman, our in-house announcer, challenged her to finish Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the Jungle. And she did it perfectly.
I'm just impressed she knew the lyrics.
So some momentum for the Austin Aces here. That run of 5-1 now 12-10. If you're on the other side, Cameron Irwin, take me through your strategy for the Dream right now to break the run.
Well, they have started to swing a little bit more in terms of adding the pace in. This has been a chess game in the last 5 to 6 points. They've changed up the blocking scheme on one side of the net, and it has forced the Dallas Dream to come up with some new offensive opportunities. One area they might look right now is an option play. That means first contact pass and then attack on the second. But instead, it's all on Kylie DeBerg.
Well, good pass there. And the call was line. Instead, looking, seeing, and executing is Kylie DeBerg.
And they go right back to where they started, that high angle attack from Kylie DeBerg up and over the top of the block of Brasher.
Big jump serve coming the other way. Down the middle, nearly had it. Nuss back up out of the sand. Hits a retreating DeBerg successfully.
It's so cool to watch Kristen Nuss just put some pace on an attack, especially when she's 5 feet off the net. She stands at 5'6", and she is unloading on that ball.
Summer Saturday nights on the CW with the AVP League. Welcome to week 2. Glad you're with us. Back set coming. Cameron Very in the offense. There's a good touch by the Aces. Brasher trying to chip. And she doesn't get there. That ball put back down the line. Second block for DeBerg in this set. An opportune moment.
The right time, as a blocker, you want to focus on your hands working individually, and this is going to be a great reflection of it. Here's that varied offense, like you mentioned, working behind the setter. They have to get back into a defensive position, but that left hand doing a nice job pressing and working on its own to force that ball back into the interior of the court.
Back within one, the Dream. Harward goes jumper. Well passed, push to the outside. Lots of space to swing. Height and power from Brasher. We are at set point here in the first. 14-12 is set point. For the set, Brasher. And missed contact, but it worked! Only to have that option you mentioned a moment ago be taken.
The only reason that worked out is because Haley Harward was aggressive as a serve receiver. She had to fight that ball off the middle of the court and have a beautiful contact, pushing that all the way up to the net and engaging Kylie DeBerg. That's the option.
Second set point, though, remains. Dallas has to score one here. Harward, outstretched left hand. Keeps it alive for the moment. Nuss checks down. Harward right there. Can't handle it. The right read made, but the Aces escape with one.
Only Kristen Nuss would finish with a jumbo. It's the toughest shot to have happen in a beach volleyball event, and this is what she is so good at. Great vision. It means that she's sending that ball up and over the top of the down defender's head. There's no way Haley Harward can get this. There's a look at the jumbo. You're challenging a defender not to dig a ball in front, not to dig a hard driven, but one over the top of their head.
You'll hear a lot of food references in the sport of volleyball, jumbo being one of them. A jumbo shrimp, that arcing shape to the corner is the history behind that particular call. As the Aces have a little bit to talk about, and Kristen Nuss here has had an exceptional year. Time off with family in the fall and then into the winter, and a surprise here. She said she was with her boyfriend at that point, Trey Cruz, and then all of a sudden she was in a room and he was proposing.
That was back at the Fontainebleau. It was also disguised because it was her birthday. That's the best part of it. She thought, hey, it's just a little celebration. Why not have some fun? And next thing you know, she's got a ring on her hand.
Yeah, but he'd asked permission. Everything was planned out. Everybody was there for the celebration. So smiles all around, and congratulations to Kristen Nuss on the impending nuptials whenever you can get a break in the schedule. Speaking of schedules, next Saturday, get ready for high-octane action south of the border. For the first time ever, the NASCAR Xfinity Series roars into Mexico City, bringing the thunder of American stock car racing to the heart of Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Experience the adrenaline as the top drivers battle it out on this iconic road course in a race like no other. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Mexico City next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, only on the CW. Look at our first set, a closely contested first set, exactly what we expected from the Dream and Aces.
Yeah, and an impressive number for the Dallas Dream. I know they didn't walk away with that first set, but over the last 2 weeks, their average has only been about 160. And again, with the way the league works out with just 15-point sets, a good number is typically around 300, 400, and the top, the elite, are all the way up at the 500 mark. So 350 is definitely an improvement from what we've seen.
Yeah.
See if we can listen in.
She only hit like 4 balls. Taryn only hit like 4 balls, right? And it was into the same location we know. And she, yeah, no, and you'll see it on those last 2 steps. Yeah, no, it was a great swing. But she comes in and you see it hard at the bottom. If you can just shift into that angle on that when you're there. If not, you're not, right? But let's try to see it. If we see that hard drop, go.
Game planning is one thing. Adjustments are even more important, perhaps, in between sets. Let's go down to Casey Patterson.
These sets are going, right? We're only going to 15 in these sets. It really shows you the importance of siding out, right? You can have a game plan, but that doesn't matter if the other team is siding out at a high level. All that goes out the window. So for these teams, because they match up so well, the side out efficiency and be able to deal with maybe a bad pass and still convert, that would be my top priority with how quick these games are and how fast this is.
Service game, as always, dictating just one ace in the match, but it's been much more consequential than just that single number.
Yeah, without a doubt, and especially when you consider the Dallas Dream too, some of the context to the conversation we heard in the box. They are talking about Taryn Brasher and the number of times she took a big swing at the ball, putting pace on it. They said it was only about 4 or so times, and they're looking for those cues, those defensive cues that allow Haley Harward to shift and move in the backcourt, whether it's right or to the left, trying to figure out where she's going to attack that ball. But again, it's a focus of and a balance of, are they going to shoot the ball, meaning look for a shot, roll the ball around the block and defense, or are they going to use the power game? And it was really quite a combination of the both.
Swing away, swing away.
That's your only answer if you're Kevin Barnett.
Always. AVP Saturday nights on CW hits the second set here of our first match of 2. The women of the Dream and Aces up first. The men will be our second match. Can the Dream play just a little bit better here in the second? Good start here with a touch. Have to turn and swing. Got it. They're on the board first once again.
That's huge. One of the deficiencies of the Dallas Dream in 2025 has been second set play. They've really struggled on making those adjustments. In talking to Kylie DeBerg, she spoke specifically about Haley Harward, saying one of our focus is micro adjustments. This is where those micro adjustments come to play.
Slicing serve has the Dream with a second opportunity. 2 for 2.
I love the play there from Haley Harward. She seems really locked in, like Casey mentioned, on transition setting, elevating that platform, giving plenty of time for Kylie DeBerg to take a cut at this ball. And that's an even tougher skill. She's doing it over the top of her head. She can't even see her target.
Platform being the forearms when you're passing or setting off of your forearms versus using your hands overhead, which is the traditional set. Perfect pass here, offense from the middle. Nuss got the line right on the knot line.
That is a sniper of a shot from Kristen Nuss.
Yeah, she used all 26.2 feet of width that's available.
What's impressive too is that ball was actually a little behind her head. Her vision's looking up. She can't even see the court below her and still able to find the sideline.
And if you wonder why it's .2 as an ace is thrown there, everything's measured in meters for the volleyball court size. So you end up with 8 meters, which is 26.2 feet if you're doing the conversion at home. Ace service right down the middle.
Talked about communication early in set one. This is another area where it really comes to life in that serve reception and the side out game. That first contact, the ball in the middle forces both passers to have to figure out who's going to take it.
So you feel like the Dream are getting away for a moment, and one side out, one ace changes things, and that will be a second ace. The ball mark right around that nylon cord.
I mean, it is their namesake, Kevin.
Watch this, right down the line.
What's crazy too is she actually trailed out of our camera shot to the left side of the screen, meaning her body's going one way, her momentum's going one way, and she's being deceptive from the service line, pushing that ball back down the line.
Looking for a third ace, not this time. Line shot on the back line. One line deserves another. 3-3.
And I love the energy from Harward, and I know you do too, Kevin. This is a duo that feeds off of momentum, energy. They have to look at that first set and feel good about it. Even though they dropped 13-15, this is an area where they feel like micro adjustments, that's going to be that 2-point differential in the second.
Yeah, and you have to bring it for yourself and for your partner. Oh, fading off the net, but kind of into nowhere was DeBerg. A lot of open space for Nuss, who at 5'6" is the smallest player to win in the AVP. You got to go all the way back into the 1980s and 90s to find Barbara Fontana at the same size.
And
so efficient.
And what's so cool is how she contorts her body on that last attack. That's how she has been so successful at 5'6", like you mentioned. Her ability to see the court and then find ways from her arm, her body to be deceptive and right on point with her placement.
So Nuss picks up a victory in 2021. It was 20 years before, towards the end of Barbara Fontana's career. In 01, she had picked up a victory. It was 20 years for someone 5'6" to win in the AVP. Perfect pass. Battle of the bigs won easily by Brescher.
When you're putting together a defensive scheme against a team, what your priority is can I force them to hit a shot they don't want to hit, that they're uncomfortable with? And this is a different look right here. For Taryn Brasher, she's forced into the middle of the court. The angles get smaller from sideline to sideline just because of the geometry, and she's bringing that ball right back over the top.
Again, close action here in the second, as it was in the first, but service game really started to hurt the Dream. It is again Nuss, third ace of just this second set.
And you simply cannot have that. You cannot have shanked passes, balls going right off the platform and into the stands, simply because it's a race to 15. There is no room for error in the AVP.
This time back to her right-hand side. Again, off balance, the Dream. Blocked right back by Brescher. That'd be Brasher's first block of the match. But it's not always about getting the stuff block, is it?
Absolutely not. Not when you got somebody like Kristen Nuss in the backcourt. A lot of times for these blockers, it's more about funneling the attack to the defender so they can become an offensive weapon. If Kristen Nuss is back there, I'm simply blocking the area where I don't want to actually contact.
Looking for the side change, aces. Another dig.
Great example.
Nuss. Oh, yes. Efficiency. First ball, transition, kill. That's the swing you take after the dig. And the aces all of a sudden are absolutely in control of the second set and this match. Kristen Nuss knows what it takes in the league. She's about to tell you what it takes to be successful in the AVP.
I do think for the fan side of things, you're gonna see everyone's best. A lot of times I feel like in finals sometimes you'll see people kind of wear down. So you may see less rallies in the women's side, just people being a little more physical because their legs are fully there, they're 100%, they're feeling good, and they know this is the only game I have today and then I only have one the next day. Or it could be on the flip side. The defenders are a little more fresh and they may be able to run down a little more balls. I don't know, I do think as a fan side, you will see everyone's best.
That's a paradigm shift for the AVP in this season.
It is. You have to have that focus on every single point, every single rally. Again, with these expedited sets, just to 15 points. Every serve matters, every dig matters, and it's a true focus in the physicality, the aggressiveness, as we listen to some of the adjustments.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Yeah.
Look at the hitting percentages again. That's your kills minus the number of times you hit the ball out of bounds or you get blocked, as we just saw Brasher do to the Dream, divided by the total number of attacks. You end up with that percentage number. And again, over 350 is good. You want to be 450 is really good, 500. Obviously drive that as high as possible. Again, working on DeBerg. She'll go to that spread offense. Waiting for it was Nuss. And again, putting it away are the aces. They're showing you the elite level.
I mean, the discipline of Kristen Nuss on that dig is incredible. Again, if the block is set up to cover the line, the defender is focused to her left there on covering the angle, and somehow she still manages to pick up this ball on the right side of her body, even though she's trying to cover the opposite side of the court.
Let's take it back to that first set. It was Dallas 9-7. Since then, 17-8 for Austin. They really turned it on here. Cut shot miss. And this is where the energy comes into play, that kind of slow walk to the back. A difficult position here now at 10-4, timeout called by DeBerg and Harwood.
And it all goes back to those aces you saw from Kristen Nuss going down the line. It really set the tone from the service line that, hey, we are going to be relentless. You have to come to play every single point.
Get a good read, get outside of the block, get there early, try to make a read right now. I don't mind going back after Taryn when we get the ball over there. I don't mind going back after Taryn when we get the ball over there. Right, if the ball's behind her, she's gonna look to go high. Right, if the set's off, if the set's on, she's probably gonna start looking to swing a little bit.
Things a little bit tough in the Dallas box, but over at the Pound Town, they're pumped.
I was like hearing the volume.
I love that somehow somebody got a ball. Casey's down in the mix. Case, what's it like?
Yeah, down here on the sand, watching this match where it currently is, and the push that Taryn and Chris have made, it goes back to like how we started, right? If you side out at a high clip, siding out, serving in transition just gets to be almost like the dessert to your dinner, right? If your main staple is your meat potatoes, which is siding out, then you get to go have fun and you've earned your dessert, and that's what they're doing, right? They're playing free, they're serving tough, they're scoring in transition. And right now, that's the vibe. And against the Dallas Dream right now are just feeling like nothing's going well. They're in detention and in timeout. And so for them, it's just going to have to be, you got to come back and side out strong, build some confidence, and then go back to the service line and really try to build some momentum on defense.
Casey Patterson, an Olympian and longtime pro, telling you how it ought to go if you were in the shoes of the Dallas Dream currently, or the bare feet in the sand. Either way, that is not going to help. A double called. You have to handle the ball in that set with a certain amount of skill. When you set overhand, you can't come out with an extra lift or a whole bunch of spin. You get called for a double. 11-4, insult to injury now in the second set. Right back to the hands. And right back to playing defense is Nuss. She'll get the set in the middle. There's a successful play for the Dream.
If you're looking for bright spots for the Dallas Dream, I would say that is one of them. The opportunity to use the option play in transition. Haley Harwood has done a nice job really elevating some of those digs to get Kylie DeBerg more involved in those opportune moments. One of the areas you can build momentum, build energy.
Brasher with the reception on 11-5. And blocked. This is where I want to see some emotion. I want to see some fire from DeBerg. Made a great play. Picked up another stuff block.
I don't disagree. It kind of depends on each athlete, but for Kylie DeBerg right now, she knows that she's at her best when she is fiery.
Well, we've talked to her, right? She said that. Sometimes tough to do in the moment as that ball then goes long, but she said as much. I need to give more energy to my partner. Now would be the time to do that.
Well, and beach volleyball really pushes and strains you in a multitude of ways as compared to indoor, right? You have more athletes alongside of you, teammates to lean on. Here, it's just you and one other.
Nowhere to hide. Turn, kill by Kylie DeBerg. 12-7, not dead, but you're going to maybe need a little bit of extra energy here and maybe quaff a potion or something. Get your health back up. Good jump serve. Nuss with that little check down. She takes a look and goes short and tight and has it poked over the top. Another good play from the Dallas Dream.
Haley Harward has upped her game defensively, which I didn't think you could say. I mean, she has been lights out, flying around, already up to 12 digs in this match. Now, that is her 9th career match in the league where she's had 10+ digs. And again, she was the leader in 2024. But look at this, not an ounce of her body was on this sand for what felt like an eternity.
Flying through the air to keep the 4-1 run going, and there's some positive emotion from her partner. Good stuff on the Dream side, down just 4. But quality serving from Haley Harward here with this jumper could set the tone.
And that's simply just a different toss. One of the big keys to a topspin jump serve is having that same consistent toss. The previous ball, she tossed it extra high, had plenty of time. That one a little bit shorter, ending up just behind her head.
And in the net, 13-8. DeBerg into the angle this time, a winner. Now's the time. Can't let Brasher and Nuss get to 14. 4-4 last year for Brasher and Nuss in the AVP League. A disappointing run for sure. They're looking for a lot more this season. They are America's elite women's team. Back set going to the right side. Harward with the defense. Can she convert? Not this time. She'll have to get another dig. No, she won't. It's in the net. They're into double digits.
That set getting pulled just a bit too far off the net. Again, for Kristen Nuss, you can kind of watch from an attacker's body position and contact point. Are they attacking out in front of them or back behind their head? If it starts to move backwards, you lose so much vision.
Off the tape. Time to get to the net again. Battle and good move. But the ball hit off and out, which will take us to match point.
That is a big move, but maybe too much court to cover for a blocker.
15-13 aces in the first. They have controlled this second. A must side out here for the match. Off the cable and down. That is the quickest way to end it right there, is with an ace. Brasher and Nuss victorious 2-0.
They pick up another win and an impressive play as well. And I love it. Kristen Nuss just shoved Haley Harward only because of how impressive Haley Harward was from a defensive standpoint. She was flying around. That is mutual respect right there. And you got to love the energy from the rest of the Austin Aces. They've popped up on screen. Avery Drost and Wyatt Harrison, loving their duo. Another part of their franchise that is looking to improve and aim for that cup.
Consistent excellence from Brasher and Nuss continues. DeBerg and Harward, they have those sparks. The question is, when will they get a full-scale fire going? Tough one here as they were controlled from the service line in the second. 5 aces for the Aces, living up to their name and finishing in style at 15-10. We're going to be back to San Diego in just a moment. Hear from the winners, victorious here on a Saturday night. AVP League is brought to you by Wilson, the official ball of the AVP. So many gorgeous places to be in San Diego, the harbor and the waterfront in downtown, a space you want to be before you come out for an AVP League Saturday night on the CW. Let's get down to Casey with our winners from the first match, Brasher and Nuss.
Down here with Taryn and Kristen. Although everyone usually says I'm sorry when they get the triple ace match, I never said sorry because I loved it. How does it feel to win off one of those?
You know, it really is pretty special, especially being Austin Aces. We are very, very blessed with our name. We love it. We think it's so much fun, and we love that the crowd actually called it. So I will say it was their ace.
Yes, I love that, right? They're just, helping you live up to the name, right? That's perfect. So when you guys go on big runs there, that second set, you went on a huge run. Things started to really flow, right? You're feeding her. You guys are complimenting each other. What does that feel like when you get in those big runs in 5 and 6?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a credit. We got to stick to our game plan and just kind of roll with it. Know we're going to get points. We pride ourselves on defense, so just sticking to that. And, yeah, just honestly sticking to the game plan is kind of what we did.
Perfect. So do we have anything going in to this second week in the league with a team handshake? What do we have this year for like our culture building aspect?
Yeah, we're still working on that. We kind of dabbled a little bit this week, but we're going to really tune it in for next week.
Perfect. Maybe like an aces tracker, the most aces at the end of the year. Get something out of the 4 of you, maybe?
Right? Yeah, we'll also take feedback. Yeah, any thoughts, send them our way. We'll take it.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. We're going to cheer on the men now, but congrats. Ready to cheer on the boys.
Let's go, boy.
Yeah.
If they serve like that, it's going to be an exciting season for the Austin Aces. Really fine performance from the line. Besides that, what do you think has been different in our first look at that team?
When we spoke to this team before 2025 started, their goal was focusing on some of those quick bang-bang plays. How are we looking in transition? How much more offensive can we get? And that's a little shocking from a team that's one of the best in the world. But that's what really was highlighted in this matchup. They stayed steady. They were not rattled, even though that first set was just a 2-point differential. I love what I saw from Kristen Nuss. Some of those sets getting pulled off. More often than not, she was finding opportunities to find sidelines, stay aggressive. And what I loved more from Taryn Brasher, she looks like she's menacing as an attacker. She seems like she's swinging at more balls, and that's a big block in front of her. So this is a team that is only leveling up. Again, they just missed the playoffs in 2024. I have a feeling they're not going to miss the playoffs this year.
Yeah, with play like this, they are going to find themselves in Chicago. Remember, it's 8 weeks of regular season play to get yourself to that championship weekend. And we did see them already in championship form, particularly in that second set.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I loved that they're able to make those adjustments. In beach volleyball, it's so critical. With such finite sets, you have to have the ability to read an attacker and make those adjustments. You're really prioritizing whether it's right, left, or in this case for Kristen Nuss, just missing that last one. But you have to have an opportunity to find points in transition as well as side out. And this is a team that really brought it from the service line. Those aces set the tone in set 2.
Yeah, I wonder where you go. How do you dissect a match and try and learn from this match? Was there anything bad about it?
I think one of the elements is that the Dallas Dream did bring some better volleyball than we've seen in week 1 and even here in the start of week 2. I was really impressed with their ability from a defensive standpoint. Haley Harward was flying around. She had 13 total digs. Again, to be above 10 is remarkable. So being at 13 in just a 2-set match is astonishing. She really brought it, and I think they had a calculated service approach as well. So this was a tough task for TKN, and I'm impressed with their performance, especially considering Dallas hit 364. That's the best mark they have had in 2025.
Right, and they outmatched them in digs and blocks. So interestingly enough, Cameron, you were talking about that service number. That was the monster number there.
Yeah.
You're talking about 8 points between the aces for Austin and the errors on the Dallas side. Everything starts and is predicated with that service game. Now, the Austin Aces for the men's side, they're going to come out and try and serve very hard. They kind of got it going in their first match of the season at the end.
They did. Wyatt Harrison is one of our rookies, and he's somebody you want to watch out for because he's got the youth, he's got the power, and especially the serve. When we spoke to him prior to this matchup, he focused on, I know I have to unleash my serve. I've got to get teams out of system. And then the secondary focus is we must side out. We have to play clean, simple volleyball. They really have emphasized time on the court together. That's Avery Drost, his partner, who will be playing on the right side. They're spending 4 to 5 days a week practicing alongside one another, and it's going to be imperative just how tough that these two can play against a very astonishing opponent.
Avery Drost last year in the league alongside Phil Dalhauser. He was the understudy. This year, he is the sensei for Wyatt Harrison at 25 years old.
A total change in priority, and we saw that unfold last night. Wyatt Harrison saw the majority of the serves coming his direction. Last year, that was the opposite. Avery Drost took more swings than anybody else in the league. So Wyatt Harrison is going to have to focus on that first contact, while as Avery Drost, he's going to have to focus in on that setting.
Yeah, and how about this for a challenge? You're going to get the best team the United States has on the male side, Miles Partain and Andy Benish.
But in uncharted territory, they took a loss last night. Their first loss in the league, not just this year, but last year. They were undefeated, and it came at the hand of insane service pressure. So if there's an equation for success against these two, it's going to be how much pace, how much spin, and pop can you bring from the service line. Miles Partain, I had never seen him shank a pass until last night, and it was a tough one. So my biggest question, how do these two respond? I have no doubt they are two of the steadiest, most consistent players in the world. So Miles Partain, in his hometown nonetheless, is going to look to make that big-time adjustment and just get laser focused in on this matchup.
All right, as we look forward to this match, let's check in with Casey Patterson.
All right, I'm here with Wyatt, Avery. Wyatt, first year in the league. You're flying yesterday. How does it feel day two? You know what I mean? You kind of gotten into a little bit of a rhythm here. What's our mentality going into this match?
Trying to stay aggressive. You know, yeah, like yesterday was a little bit about adjusting. Obviously, we're playing a really great team, so it'll be fun to see how we stack up. But trying to just replay a little bit better than yesterday and see what we can do. So.
Right, and unleash on your serve, right? I mean, that's your superpower, is your jump serve.
Yeah, there's always a fine balance of like being okay with errors versus like trying to score points. So, yeah, we'd like to cut down a little bit, but keep the foot on the gas pedal.
Well, I love it. That should be the focus. Just embrace the name, go for the aces. Everything else is gravy. Perfect. Let's get back to it. Sorry.
Trial by fire for Wyatt Harrison coming up here. Miles Partain, Andy Benish. You could not end up with a tougher test in the AVP League. The men are coming up next. Already the Aces with a win on the women's side. Can they add to it, or do the Dallas Dream come right back? And we have a split between the squads.